6 different sections, and one's about your internal organization, one is about your finances, pricing and service, marketing and sales, and your overall exit plan. And so you are grading yourself 1 to 10, and then you will receive this report, which is color coded. The closer to green you get, the better, you've scored yourself. And the red is the fix me. And so today we are going to focus on the internal organization. Take it away.
All right, there's a few categories that we're going to ask you about here. We're going to ask you for your org chart, your employee records, which includes their hire date, their salary, their schedule of benefits, their HR history, that kind of stuff. So everything about your people. We then ask you to gather up your business formation documents and all of proof of your tax filings, right? So anyone who's going to buy your company wants to know you've actually paid your taxes and filed yourself with the local government so that we know you exist. We're going to ask also for your asset list as well. So you need to get together an asset list, and then we also ask you for a brief history of your company, which is my favorite part. We're going to talk about that one in a little bit of detail in a few minutes.
Yeah, I love that question too. And by the way, Julie asked a question in the chat. She says they are not seriously looking at selling at this time, but they are interested in knowing what it looks like. And can she still take the assessment? And the answer is a most resounding yes. Absolutely take the assessment now. Find out where you are and this is going to actually give you actionable steps that you can take to get your business ready for sale. Like that's the whole point of the assessment.
Yeah, and we want you to take this assessment early. So if you're even 5 years away, now's the time to start to think about it. Now's the time to start to get things in your business organized rather than rushing around at the last minute. So you really can't take it too early. If you're only 3 months away from thinking you want to sell your company, then you need to take that right now because there's no better time to start than today.
Or, 3 months ago would have been a better time, but hey, you are where you are, right?
Right. Yeah, we work with what we've got. So, Ryan, why do buyers actually care about this stuff?
Well, I want to say that the best answer to that is that buyers, they love predictability. Like they are not buying your company, they are buying your process. And they want to know that they're buying a business that works. The business can run, the business can make money, the business can stay running, whether or not you are there. They like predictability. They are looking for signs that the company is very predictable, right? So that as they're looking at those financials and everything seems to be predictable, but all of these documents tell them even more how predictable that company is going to be. And that's what they're looking for. They want the process.
Yeah, and we're looking to paint a picture of your company, right? Remember, this is your first impression. The first time they call you up on the phone and are interested, the first thing out of their mouth is going to be, why don't you send me over, your documents? And they're going to give you a document list. And if you can turn around and shoot those right back to them in 5 minutes after that call, you have made an awesome first impression. It shows your business is organized, your business is prepared, and you're actually a serious buyer or a serious seller, a serious business owner, somebody they actually want to talk to. Time is the killer of so many deals.
Oh my gosh, is that the truth? When you and I first started this thing in like 10 years ago and we started helping we started helping some MSPs gather their stuff and help them through some due diligence requests and things. That I just spun up a folder on my SharePoint site on my OneDrive, not SharePoint, like I'm not sharing it with everybody, but it's in my OneDrive. And I just update it, a couple of times a year. I put my updated financials in there. I've got all of my documents in one spot. When I had to get an economic injury disaster loan, like when we had those storms last year, like um, I went to the SBA for an idle to, fix up all of the damage. And so they started asking me for documents, and I'm like, yep, got it, yep, got it, yep, got it. And I just, it took me less than 5 minutes to gather it because I had gathered it over time, all that time. So, like, that's where I put mine. When you were going through it, what did you do?
I kept mine in OneDrive too. It's just super easy, right click, share, and I just gave them access to the folder. Like, here you go. Here's everything you asked for and then some. Like,
Right?
this is everything you could possibly ask for about my business. So that made it super easy. Um, I want to talk about the asset list for a moment because list of assets, the things on that list are not always assets to the buyer. They're
That
assets
is
to
true.
you and to your business. But the buyer's going to ask you for your asset list because one, they need to know everything that they might be buying, but two, they need to decide whether or not they want to buy those things. And this becomes a point of negotiation, right? Do they really want your 5-year-old van that's got your branding all over it because they might be rebranding you? So maybe they don't want your van, but you still got a loan out on your van, right? All this becomes negotiation points. Of course, you want to get rid of your van because what are you going to do with it now? Um,
Right.
but they may not want it. Same thing with everything you've got on your asset list, which includes the lease of your office if you have one.
A lot of people overlook that, the lease in the office. And there's an accounting rule now for companies, like public companies in financial accounting reporting compliance. There's an FASB ruling that if you have a 3-year lease, you have 3 years left on your lease at your office building. It is both an asset because you have the right to use it for the next 3 years, but it is also a liability because you have to pay for it for the next 3 years. And every month, that asset decreases, and so does that liability until you get all the way down to the end of that lease. And so as you are starting to think about, what needs to happen in our books and what sort of records do I need to keep, that should be one of them. Make sure that your lease, whether it's an office building or a vehicle or a copy machine, do people still lease copy machines? Like they used to do that a long time ago when we used
They
paper.
still do.
So all of those operational leases really should have their own folder, and you should keep a schedule of them. When are they up? When is it time to renew? And that gets us even further to another part of the asset list, like what are your other obligations? Say to your customers with the annual licenses and renewals for your software, your RMM, and the Microsoft 365, and um, let's see, your PSA, and all of those other people that you enter into contracts with. There should be a folder just for those contracts and a schedule. When did you sign on? When does it come up for renewal? What are the terms?
Yeah. How do I get out? Right? If you
Right?
can
Because
get out.
isn't
Right?
the buyer going to ask that? Like, do I have to pay, Kaseya for the next 3 years for your Connect booster that I have no intention of using? Like, what's that exit plan look like?
Yeah. Yeah, the office lease is such a huge deal because the landlord isn't going to let you out of the lease just because you're not in business anymore. You signed a personal guarantee. I'm positive you did, saying that you're going to pay this no matter what through the end of this lease period. So if you are thinking that you're selling your business, you're going to want to move to shorter lease periods. So that's why we say it's not too early to start thinking about this stuff. The
Right.
likelihood that the person that buys you wants to use your office space is pretty small. Occasionally it happens, but in the majority of cases, it does not happen. So
I
they
would
won't want
say
to
that
assume it.
sometimes it does, it happens, but for a very short time, right? Like during that whole initial transition, 90-day, 120 days, while everybody's trying to figure everything out. And by the way, when you do sell your business, you will probably never work harder in your life than you will in the first 90 days after that sale. There's a lot of moving parts. Um, but yeah, and then
I
after
agree.
that, 90, 120-day mark, the chances are the office is going to go away and the company is going to get, integrated together. The two companies will really integrate and work under one roof or not.
I remember it well, those 90 days after first 90 days of, not only you've gotten all your documentation before, but now there's all sorts of notifications that have to happen. There's the reconciling of what did we receive prepayments on from clients
Mhm.
that we have to transfer that money over to the buyer because they're now delivering that service that we collected for in advance. Yeah, all of the licensing stuff. If we collected money for licensing in advance, we have to figure out where that money stands and get that over to the new owner. Um, we need to really clean up. We have done it before the sale. If you're working with Rayanne and I, we will make sure to hound you about collecting all of your outstanding invoices uh,
Right,
because you really don't want to do it after you sell your company. That's going to be a real big pain in the neck. Um,
right.
by the way, I sold
Because
my company, but you should still pay me. That's a conversation you don't want to have because there's a lot of less than scrupulous people in the world that will go, oh, well, if you're not actually in business anymore, I'm probably not really required to pay you. That can happen. So we want you to avoid those missteps. So there's reasons why the buyers care about these things and the reasons why you as a seller care about these things. And it's why we ask these questions. The last one I want to talk about is the brief history of your company. Buyers always want to see about 3 years, sometimes 5 years, but usually 3 years of historical information about your business. How did it grow? How did it, who's the length of time your employees have been with you? They're trying to get this feeling, length of time your clients have been with you. They're trying to get this feeling from from your data of warm fuzzies that the company exists, it's growing, it's happy, this is a good run company. It didn't just appear out of nowhere. This is why we ask you to write a brief history of your company too, right? How did you start? Why did you start? How did you grow? What are the significant milestones that your company achieved over the 10 or 20 years that it's been in business? What happened during that time period?
I actually just did this for this program that I'm in, and I'm doing this big, long dissertation type paper and on a growth opportunity for for my core business. And so one of them was, I need to write a history of this company. Well, my company has been in business for 20 years. A lot of things have happened over the last 20 years. Like how did I start there? And actually my core business started a lot. longer, much longer ago than just the 20 years ago. There was a build up to how I got to start that business, and then what happened when I started, and then when did I change focus and direction for my business, and why did I do that, and what steps did I take, and who when did I start hiring, and when did I start to do this, and before I knew it, I was 3 pages in, and I had to start cutting it back because it was just far too long. And I thought nobody's going to read this 3 pages of the story of Rayanne's business. So so you start to like chip away at it and really just want to keep some of the most important strong points that you want to get across about your business. Like stop for a minute and think. Where did this business come from? Did I just wake up one day and say, oh, I think I want to start an MSP today, and then just open up the doors and there you are? Is that how it happened? Or was there a progression of things that got you to where you are today?
There always is a progression of things that got you to where you are today. And I first went through this exercise probably 10 years ago when I hired a sales firm and to do our marketing, and they had us go through this exercise. And so if what I'll say is a lot of people struggle with this. I would say if you're not a writer by nature, then maybe don't do it as a narrative. A little bit easier way to do it might be to do it as a resume, right? Think of your business's resume, right? What were those significant milestones of changes? If it was a person, it would be a job change, an educational moment, that kind of stuff. For the business, it's going to be hired my first employee, you know, uh, it refined our sales process and began to add clients at a, regular predicted rate, da 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 da. So those milestones in your company, where you made the decisions, why you made them, and just highlight those on a little one pager. What we want to do is we want the buyer to see your company and start to see themselves in it, start to feel invested in it, get those warm fuzzies that your business is something of quality that they now want to own and are going to be able to take it forward.
As you were describing that, I had this flashback of my eighth grade history teacher,
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Mr. Bellini. He was fanatical about timelines, and all I could see was that line that he would draw on the chalkboard, and he would put the lines, and what happened on this date, and what happened on this date, because isn't that what we're talking about? Like it could be a timeline just as much as it could be a resume, or a page long paragraph form,
Yeah.
so. I guess what I'm trying to say is just use what works for you. Like it doesn't have to be any special way, find your way.
Yes, definitely find your way. It should express the personality of your company because that's also one of the things that you want to convey to the owner with these documents. So um, we have just a couple minutes left. We didn't want to keep you any more than 30 minutes today, and if we can keep you less than 30 minutes today, we would really like for you to take that survey, get your assessment going, and start to work on these things. Be honest when you're taking it because there is no reason not to be honest with yourself. I mean, you're giving us this information, but it's about you. It's not about us. So be honest with yourself when you're taking the assessment.
Brutally
Uh,
honest.
brutally honest. Yeah. And you'll see, we're judging you on a scale of what's the lowest one called?
um, Fix me.
Fix me.
Fix me
So
to nailed it.
fix me to nailed it. Yeah. So yes, and it's a 10-point scale. So yeah, judge yourself honestly, judge yourself brutally. Just don't be overly optimistic about where you are, right? That would be err on the downside rather than on the upside.
And if you think about it, you could even use this as your baseline. And then when you come back in 6 months after you get your report and start doing some of those action items and making changes in your business, come back in 6 months or 9 months or whatever, take it again, see where you've improved, and and what are the next steps, and what are the next steps, and what are the next steps. So if it's a fix me today, and and um, and dipping toes in the water, or whatever we called it, um,
Yeah,
or then you're going to get the next set of actionable items, right? Like, you've gone beyond fix me, and now you are over the hump, and you're ready to get to almost there. And so it's going to walk you through the steps that you can take.
right. So I just put in the chat how you work with us. So if you are in the process of getting ready to sell your company, you start with the assessment, you start to work through these docs, join our work group. In the work group, we're going to help you get these documents together, answer your questions, keep you on task. It's a small group of people. So you will get that, you'll get the attention to keep yourself on track with getting everything ready. I stuck that in the chat for you as well. So we hope to see you over there. Um, Now we are ready for 4 minutes of questions. If you have any questions for us, feel free to stick those in the chat, and uh, we will answer those for you.
And while they are thinking and typing, one thing that I really wanted to chat about quickly was the employment records, the employee records, and all of the benefits that you offer to your employees, and how they are calculated, and what type of insurance is it? What type of retirement plan? Where is that retirement plan held? When did it start? You know, how many days does somebody have to work before they are eligible for this benefit and that benefit, and all of the others? And before you know it, when you get through a lot of this first section, you're probably going to have yourself an employee handbook. Because it's going to build itself as you start to work through all of these
Yeah,
different pieces.
that's a good point. That's a good point. So many of us actually never did that in our MSP. I know I didn't.
While I trust you both very much, how is the provided information kept, protected, and purged? We don't keep the information. We gather the answers that you've provided, and to us, they are scores of, um, like, you're going to give us a score for each one of those questions between 1 and 10. We're going to take that, we're going to convert it into a report. We're going to send you the report. Like, there is no actual documentation stored.
Right. You're not actually giving us your employee records or your business thing. You're not giving us any of your information. You're just telling us where you are at on a scale of 1 to 10 with each of these different items. So your private information is yours, and you are going to be keeping your documentation as you create it in that OneDrive folder that we talked about at the top of the webinar.
I love that question, by the way. Thank you, Kenan, for asking.
Yeah, thank Keenan. If we do start working together and helping you through the process in the work group, there will be an NDA that does get signed. So at the point where we do see your information, we will be sure to enter into that with you.
And I
Um,
just kind of want to add that I'm a licensed tax preparer, and I would not, under any circumstances, jeopardize my license by storing information I have no earthly business of having. So,
Fantastic. Well, let's wrap this up.
okay.
All right. So thanks for joining us as we demystify the role of the internal documentation in achieving your top dollar sale.
And come and join us again next time, because we're going to be speaking about my favorite topic, finance, and we'll be sure to send you an invitation. And I think, Amy, you've already placed it in the chat. Is that true?
I have. It's in the chat window, so you can sign up for that today. It takes place January 6th at 1 p.m. So we will see you all there. Um, Remember, it's not too early to engage us. Think about getting that assessment done. Join us over in the work group. And because we want to help you guys. We want to help you get the top dollar for your business when you are ready to sell.